Hey guys, so today I'm going to be reading Act 2 of the Bildgewater story, and I will do all four of the parts on this one, and then the next video will have Act 3. So this is Act 2, Part 1. Mealy on the docks, Butcher's Bridge, a barrage. I'm coughing up black. The smoke in the warehouse fire is tearing my lungs to shreds, but I don't have any time to catch my breath. TF's getting away, and I'll be damned if I'm going to spend another dog's age chasing him all over Runeterra. It ends tonight. The bastard sees me coming. He shoves a couple of dock hands out of the way and runs off across the wharf. He's trying to work his escape card, but I'm keeping heat on him so he can't focus. More hooks swarm around like flies to an outhouse. Before they can block his path, TF tosses a couple of his exploding cards and takes the thugs out. A few hooks are an easy fight for him, but I ain't, and I'm coming for my due, and TF knows it. He scurries down the wharf as fast as he can. His scuffle on with the dock boys gives me enough time to catch up. He sees me and darts behind a huge hunk of whale spine. The blast from my guns shatters his cover, filling the air with shards of bone. He answers by trying to take off my head, but I shoot his card in midair. It explodes like a bomb, knocking us both on our asses. He scrambles to his feet first and takes off. I fire Destiny as fast as she'll shoot. Some hooks close in on us with chains and cutlasses. I turn quick and blow their insides out of their backs. Before I hear the wet slap of their guts on the dock, I'm spinning on my heels. I take aim for TF, but I'm clipped by a shot from a pistol. More hooks, and these ones are better armed. I duck behind a piece of an old trawler's hull to return my fire. My gun clicks. Gotta reload. I slam some fresh shells into the cylinder, spit my anger on the floor, and wade back into the chaos. All around me, shots and bolts burst through the wooden crates. One of them tears a chunk of my ear off. I grit my teeth and plow forward, squeezing the trigger. Destiny is chewing up everything. One jagged hook loses its jaw, and another is blasted into the bay. A third gets torn into a red sheet of muscle and sinew. I snap around to find TF, escaping deeper into the slaughter docks. I run past the firemonger hanging up scavenger eels. One of the beasts is just skinned, its innards still spilling into the dock. The monger turns to me, swinging the meat hook. Boom! I take off his leg. Boom! I fall off with a shot to his head. I drove away the stinking razorfish carcass and keep moving. The blood is ankle deep, some of it from the fish and some from the hooks we've gunned down. It's easy to give a dandy like TF fits. Even with me on his tail, he slows his stride to keep from messing up his skirts. Before I can close in, TF kicks to a gallop, and I can feel myself losing wind. Turn and face me, I holler. What kind of man doesn't own up to his problems? A noise to my right draws attention to the balcony, holding two more hooks. I fire, and the whole thing crashes into the docks. The gun smokes and debris is so thick that I can't see a damn thing. I run towards the sound of his lady boots thudding across the wooden slats. He's making for the butcher bridge at the end of the slaughter docks, the only way off the island. Damned if I'm letting him get away again. As I reach the bridge, TF skids to a halt, halfway across. At first I think he's given up, and then I see why he stopped. On the far side, blocking his way, there's a mass of sword-wielding bastards, but I ain't backing down. TF turns, only to find me. He's trapped. He looks over the side of the bridge, down at the water. He's thinking about jumping, but I know he won't. He's out of options. He starts walking towards me. Look, Malcolm, neither of us needs to die here. As soon as we get out of this, you'll run again, and that's all you've ever done. He doesn't answer. Suddenly he ain't so worried about me. I turn back to see what he's fixed on. Behind me I see every lowlife that can carry a blade or pistol coming into the docks. Gangplank must have called in all of his boys from across the city. Time to keep from going a death sentence. But living ain't the most important thing to me today. Act 2, Part 2, closing in above the abyss, taking a dive. They're in no rush, the hooks, not anymore. They know they have us trapped. Behind them it looks like every rat-stabbing cutthroat in Bildgewater has shown up to the party. No way back. On the far end of the bridge, blocking my escape from the maze of Bildgewater slums, is what appears to be a whole red-cap dock gang. They rule the east side of the waterfront. Gangplank owns them, just like he owns the hooks and nearly the whole damn town. Behind me there's Graves, stomping ever closer. The stubborn son of a bitch doesn't care about the mess we're in. It's amazing, really. Here we are yet again, like all those years ago, deep in the muck, and he just won't listen. I wish I could tell him what really happened back then, but there's no point. He wouldn't believe me, not for a second. Once something's lodged into that thick skull of his, it takes a while to shake it loose, and we don't have a while. I back up to the side of the bridge. Over the rail I see the winches and pulleys suspended beneath me, then the ocean far below. My head spins and my stomach drops into my boots. As I stagger back to the middle of the bridge, I get full view of how bad of a spot I'm in. Looming in the distance is Gangplank's black-sailed ship. From it, a damned armada of boats closing in below, rowing hard. It looks like all of these men are heading our way. I can't get through the hooks, and I can't get through the caps, and I can't get through Gray's pig-headedness. Only one way to go. I step up onto the railing of the bridge. We're even higher than I realized. The wind whips my coat and makes it snap like the sails of a ship. I should have never come back to Bildgewater. "Get the hell down from there," says Graves with a hint. Is there a hint of desperation in his voice? I'll break him if I die before he got to the confession that he wants. I take a deep breath. It's a long way down. "Tobias," Malcolm says. "Step back." I pause. I haven't heard that name in a long time. And then I jump from the bridge. Act 2, Part 3, The Performance, an Observer, into the night. The Brazen Hydra is one of the few taverns in Bildgewater that doesn't have sawdust on the floor. Drinks are rarely spilled, let alone teeth, but on this night its patrons could be heard all the way to the driver's bluff. Some men in repute and even greater means were turning the air blue with wondrous songs of the worst acts. And there in the middle of them all was the conductor of the night's revelry. She twirled, toasting to the health of the harbor master and all his watchmen. Her lustrous red hair whipped around, captivating the eyes of every man in the room. Not only that, they had been looking at her. No glass had been allowed to run empty that night. The crimson-haired siren made sure of that. But it wasn't the dulled senses of every man in the room that drew them closer. It was the promise of her next glorious smile. With merriment still shaking the tavern, the front door opened, and in stepped a plainly dressed man, inconspicuous to a degree that only comes with years of practice. He walked to the bar and ordered a drink. Among the clumsily assembled gallery, a young woman grabbed a fresh glass of amber ale. "My fine fellows, I'm afraid it's time to leave," she said with a flourish. The men of the harbor responded with loud bellows of protest. "Now, now, we've had our fun," she said, chiding them amiably. "But I have a busy night ahead, and you are all very late to your posts." She hopped up onto the table without missing a beat, before looking down at them with triumphant glee. "May the Mother Serpent grant mercy for our sins." Her smile was the most captivating smile. She raised a large tankard to her lips and then drowned her ale in one tremendous gulp. "Especially the big one," she said as she slammed her glass to the table. She wiped the beer from her mouth with a rapturous roar of approval and blew a kiss to all. Like servants before their queen, the room parted. The door was held open for her by a gracious harbor master. He hoped to garner last one glimpse of approval, but she was lost to the streets before he could look up with his from his unsteady, courteous bow. Outside, the moon had dipped behind the freeman's ear, and the night's shadow seemed to reach out to meet the woman. Each step that she took from the tavern became more purposeful and sure-footed. Her carefree veil dissolved, and her true self was revealed. Her smile and the look of wonder and joy were gone. She stared grimly, not seeing the streets and alleys before her, but looking far beyond to the many possibilities of the dark night ahead. Behind her, the plainly dressed man from the tavern was gaining. His footsteps were silent, yet unnervingly swift. In measured heartbeat, he put his stride in perfect unison with her, just off her shoulder, out of her periphery. "Everything is in place, Raphael?" he asked. After all these years, he was still taken aback by how he could never surprise her. "Yes, Captain," he said. "You weren't spotted?" "No," he said briskly, reining in his displeasure at the question. The bay was free from the harbor master's eyes, and the ship was as good as empty. "And the boy?" "He played his part." "Good. We'll meet at the Siren." At her word, Raphael broke away and disappeared into the gloom. She continued onwards as the night wrapped itself around her. Everything was in motion. All that remained was for her players to begin to show. Act 2, Part 4. The dye of the finest pair of boots, oranges. I hear Graves roar as I dive off the bridge. All I can see is the rope beneath me. No need to think about how far the bottomless black depths are. Everything is a blur of rushing wind. I nearly scream with joy as I catch the rope, but then it burns my palms like a branding iron. My fall stops with a snap as I slide to the bottom of the looping tether. I hang there for a moment, cursing. I've heard that dropping into the water from this height normally wouldn't kill a man, but I'd rather take my chances on the stone loading dock that's at least 50 feet straight down. I'll die, and it's a damn sight better than drowning. Between me and the stone platform, a pair of heavy-duty cables run from here to the mainland, one forward, one back. Crude, noisy mechanisms power them. They're used to transport rendered-down parts of the sea beasts to the markets in Bildgewater proper. The cables strum as heavy as a rusted bucket, as big as a house, grinds its way towards me. I let a smile creep on my face for a second, that is, until I see what's in the cart, and I'm about to drop, feet first, into a seething vat of rotten fish spleen. It took me months to earn coin for my boots, supple as a gossamer, and sturdy as tempered steel. They're crafted from the hide of abyssal sea drake. There are fewer than 4 pairs in the world. Damn it. I time my jump just right and land in the middle of the chum bucket. The cold slop seeps through every hand stitch of my prized boots, and least my hat's clean. Suddenly I hear that damned gun bark again. The mooring line explodes. The cart groans as it slides free from the cables. The wind's knocked out of me as the bucket slams onto the stone platform. I feel the foundations of the dock shake before everything flips on its side. The world falls over my head, along with a ton of fish guts. Struggling to stand, I look for another way out. Gangplanks launches are closing in. They're nearly here. Dazed, I drag myself toward a small boat moored in the loading dock. I'm not halfway there when a shotgun blast rips its hull open, scuttling it. As the boat sinks, I drop to my knees, exhausted. I try to catch some of my breath over my own stench. Malcolm stands over me. Somehow he's made his way down, too. Of course he did. "Not so charming now, are ya?" Graves grins, looking me up and down. "Are you ever gonna learn?" I say, rising to my feet. "Every time I try to help you, He fires into the ground in front of me. I'm pretty sure I get a chunk of something in my shin. "If you just I'm done listening," he interrupts, grinding his words. The biggest score of our lives, and before I knew it, you were gone. Before you knew it, I told you. Another blast, another shower of stone, but I'm past caring. I tried to get us out. The rest of us saw the job was going south, I said. But you wouldn't back out, down. You never do. The cards in my hand before I realized it. I told you then. All you had to do was back me up. We could have gotten out clean and rich, but you ran, he said, stepping forward. The man I used to know seems lost under years of hatred. I don't try to say anything else. I can see it in his eyes now. Something's broken inside of him. Over his shoulder, a glint catches my eyes. It's a flintlock. The first of Gangplank's crewmen are on us. Without thinking, I flick the card. It slices towards Graves. His gun thunders. My card takes out Gangplank's men. His pistol was leveled at Malcolm's back. Behind me, another member of his crew slumps to the ground, a knife in his hand. If Graves hadn't shot him, he could have had me, cold. We look at each other. Old habits. Gangplank's men are around us now, crowding in close, howling and jeering. There's too many to fight. That doesn't stop Graves. He picks his gun up, but he's out of shells. I don't draw any cards. There's no point. Malcolm roars and goes at them. That's his way. He shatters one of those bastards' nose with the butt of his gun before the mob beats him to the ground. Hands grab me, pinning my arms. Malcolm's hauled to his feet, blood dripping from his face. Ominously, the hoots and hollers of the mob around us fall silent. The wall of thugs parts to reveal a red-coated figure striding toward us. Gangplank. Up close, he's much bigger than you'd imagine, and older. The lines of his face are deep and chiseled. He's holding an orange in one hand, slicing off its skin with a short-bladed carving knife. He's doing it slow, making each cut count. So tell me, boys, he said. His voice was a deep, rumbling growl. Do you like scrimshaw? So that's the end of Act 2. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you liked it, you can leave a like and a subscribe, and you can comment below if you have any suggestions on who I should do for lore or any stories that you would like me to read. And I hope that everybody has a nice day.